Now, I know that's like a super hot take, don't use React. But at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, what's worth it? Is it worth having a developer experience? Do my customers care if I'm using React? The answer is almost always no. And yeah, I I've heard the argument that developer experience is more important, but I just don't agree with it. I think what you end up doing as a developer is adding something that is intellectually satisfying but ends up being frustrating, because the same thing that is intellectually satisfying or stimulating will ultimately frustrate you. That's why it's intellectually satisfying or stimulating. So when you don't have the energy to manage it, don't you just want something that's simple? Or do you want somebody to look at your project and be impressed by all the different tools and technologies that you used? And a lot of the times, that's how we as developers feel, is like we really, really want somebody to give us acknowledgement for how well we crafted our project or architected it. But the customer doesn't care. All the customer cares is, does it work? And if it works, can I use it? So, you can argue that your customer is a developer, and so they will care, and they care about developer experience, and so there's always an argument for that. But if you build something that's customer focused, it's not always necessarily about maintainability or ease of use. I understand that argument, but I also think that it's more important to take into account their experience, right? So when you're starting with React as a JavaScript framework and you're taking an extra 2 seconds to load or whatever, and then React has to come out with all these different solutions to improve on that, I think you're starting on the wrong foot. And I don't think there's any type of catching up that you can do that's going to put you a step ahead, because you're always going to be a step behind, if that makes sense. And so what I mean by that is, versus HTML being rendered, JavaScript's always going to have to take a second or two to process, to do bundling, to debundle, right, and to render the HTML. And that takes work on the main thread. So the more UI that you try to render with JavaScript on your main thread, the more you end up kind of just shooting yourself in the foot gun, right? So it becomes a real balance, and it's not sexy to say, oh yeah, I'm trying to minimize my use of React or my use of React components, but at the end of the day, I think that's what you should be doing. If you disagree, let me know in the comments down below. I see arguments for it, but the more I work with it, and I've been working with it for 6-7 years now, the more I realize that it's just getting in the way. And a lot of this stuff ends up just getting in the way. And I used to feel dumb when I was trying to learn this stuff. I didn't realize, all you're doing is just indoctrinating yourself into an ecosystem that actually isn't that intelligent. Oof, did I say that? Yeah, React is not for smart people. If you were smart, you wouldn't need React.